I hope this is stable. But I don't know how this is gonna work out. It's most probably gonna be like a rant type of video. But I grabbed a coffee. I'm in my happy place in my car because it's raining, so you might hear some pitter patter. But I will be talking about why I left Korea and why I cut my contract early. Again, it's gonna be like rant-esque, so it's probably gonna be really like all over the place, but I have a couple notes on my phone about what kind of like led me to wanting to leave and kind of what happened. So yeah, let's just get started. Some background, I guess. I went to Korea in November 2021 and I left in October 2023. So that means I was there for just under 2 years. And I was only there for like one full school year plus a little more, since the school year only starts in March. So it's March to March, and anything in between is kind of like in the middle. So I arrived in the middle of a school year, or the end of the school year. I did a full year and then I left in the middle of a school year. And there's some feelings about that, which I can get to later when it's time. But yeah, anyways, so I don't know where to start. It was such an awful time for me. So I don't, and honestly, disclaimer, I don't want this to come out as like, don't come to Korea, don't teach, don't do any of that. This is just my personal experience with what happened. I'm obviously not going to say the name of my school. I'm just going to use acronyms, and with what that is, you can do your own research and make your assumptions with what it is. But I'm going to try my best not to say it, and if I do accidentally say it, I'm just going to bleep myself out because I'm not about to get into shit for this. So okay, so let's just go with when I first started. It was me just taking over a couple classes in November of 2021, and I just took over some classes. I ideally wanted to make like more update videos about hagwons because I wanted to be honest with people who wanted to do this, because I didn't have this. And so yeah, but hagwon work is freaking crazy. People don't talk about how hard this work is, and obviously it's super dependent on which school you go to, what your workload is, who you teach, but everything. But in my circumstance, in my situation, it was exhausting. It was absolutely exhausting. I again only worked for 2 years, and I felt like I worked for 4. I worked 4 years. Like the worth of work is 4 years. So anyways, yeah, so then at my first real full school year, I was 100% elementary. I didn't do any kindergarten. Right? I think so. Yeah. So except for like supplementary classes and stuff like that. I have a fairly easy schedule. I had one less class than every other elementary teacher out there, so I had more prep time, blah blah blah. I had a really hard time, because similar to how they, you know, trained me, they threw me there and were like, go for it. And again, this is like peak COVID time. Like peak. The moment that we had like graduation and transitioning into the new year, people started getting COVID. All the teachers started getting COVID. And like, so the beginning of the year was all of the elementary teachers covering for AM teachers, and it's like we were working crazy overtime and honestly not getting paid for most of it because we're team players and we're a family. And so once, you know, that kind of all started, like it was a shit show, blah blah blah. But I had my own personal problems like with teachers and other coworkers and shit, but like once it all settled, we were just doing whatever. And teaching, I honestly had an amazing first official year. It was a hard, rough start, but I persevered and we had a good time. And yeah, I would say I genuinely overall had like a really good time with my my classes, and they were all very small, so it was a lot more like personal. Like, I could get to know all the kids, I could get to know who they are and whatever. Anyways, and then so like, because of the school that I am at, MBBP, you have to create your own shit. And so when I first started, when I said, like, they just kind of like threw me in there and was like, go for it, literally they just said, use whatever person's was last year's, that's already been approved, go off of that. And I'm like, A-okay. And like, I keep getting shit on, and yeah, so eventually I got the groove of things, but then yeah, I still had to make my own stuff. And we started off with like just using purely whatever was made from last year, and eventually when I got the groove of things, I started making more personalized things. And I eventually because they decide to change things and expect things to happen yesterday, I had to change a lot of things, or add a lot of things, or do a lot of things. And so eventually it just came to the point where I was just making all of my own stuff, which included like my own homework booklets to supplement the unit that we're doing, my own assessments that we have to assess them on at the end of the unit, and like any other supplementary things that we needed to do in class. And if they weren't something like we can pull off the internet from like Teacher Pay Teacher, or like just like a website that we can just take the worksheet from, we had to make them. And that's like the thing with elementary, is there's no template, there is no pre-made things that we can just take and use. Everything is personalized, everything is made by ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just wish they told us that, they were warning us about that, because you know, we had no time, and they fully expected us to get our stuff done before X date. But it's like, do you not understand how much work needs to go into making this? And so I've spent countless of prep hours, like days and days and days, just prepping one thing for them. And obviously I kept trying to remind myself, like, this is for the kids, this is for my kids, my students. I want them to do their best, and I need to give them I need to give them the things to make them do their best. I want to supplement them with the best so they can be their best. Anyways, so yeah, like, keep in mind, I made literally any homework, and that's another thing, is that we were like revamping the entire elementary like curriculum. So all of the homework from prior classes were getting dumped anyway. We had to remake them. We could reuse some of the questions or some of the like activities in the homework booklets and stuff, but I had to still physically remake them. So though the work is done, I still have to format everything. That shit takes fucking forever. I'm gonna just say that. Word is not your friend, especially when you have an ancient computer, which that's all we ever had. So things would crash, things would not load, things wouldn't save, and like, that's just frustrating on its own. Anyways, so yeah, I go through the entire year, basically, like I would say half the year, I started making my own stuff. Obviously, I'm not going to take credit for everything. I did take ideas from old homework booklets, but it was still all of my work formatting them all and making it all good. And like, I did have to make my own activities. I did have to situate my own, like, I just had to make everything. I'm just gonna, honestly, yeah, I'm gonna take credit for it. I had to make everything. Okay, so I'm home now, and I went home and I wanted to edit because I really wanted to get this out there. But while I was editing, I totally, because I was rambling, I totally forgot to like finish the point of me talking about me doing all the homework. So basically, I had done all the homework in the year prior, and in the new year, so this year that I left, they took all of the homework booklets, bound them together in a spiral thing per like 3 units or so, and claimed it as their own. They literally was like, I did this work, I did all this work, I made all these homework booklets. I'm like, well, if you physically put all the papers together and bound them, yeah, you did them. But all of this homework, all of the homework booklets that you printed from the server belongs to me. I put all the hard work into that. I did all of that work, and you're gonna claim that you did it. I had no recognition. I had no props to do anything. They just took it, pretended it was theirs, and when they had a problem, like if they didn't know the answer to something or why something was phrased a certain way because I made them, they didn't know the answer. And suddenly that's when, oh, you can go ask Mel because she made them. That's the only time I got recognition that I made these things, was because they didn't know the answer to it. They didn't know why this was phrased a certain way. They didn't know why this was done a certain way because I made it. Other than that, I had nothing to do with the homework booklets, including their unit assessments. I specifically made their unit assessments based on my class at the time. So obviously my class this year and my class last year weren't going to be on the same level. I had the highest class last year. So obviously things are going to change, and I would change them based off the kids' needs and like what level they are. So when they didn't have an assessment, they're like, oh Mel, did you finish the assessment? Can you put it in the Dropbox? I'm like, so you can steal more of my work and not be given any recognition for it? Are you kidding? But obviously me being a team player, I sent it to them. I gave it to them because I'm stupid. And then the end of the year comes around and they ask me what kind of classes I want. And I came home during Christmas, and this was kind of like the deal point area where I was like, do I continue to work here? Do I go home? I was super conflicted. And then I'm like, do I go to a different hagwon? So I decided that I would take a trip home. And some of you might have seen that video where I surprised my family, and it made me realize like I didn't want to go home. I had no desire to go home. I wanted to continue my life in Korea. I wasn't done yet. I felt like being back at home was taking 2 steps back, and I had built myself a life in Korea. Like I had set myself up, and I didn't want to go back. And so yeah, I re-signed, and they told me I had first pick of what kind of classes I wanted, of course within reason, blah blah blah. And for the most part I did get the classes that I wanted, and the classes that I wanted were similar to the same, it was either the same or similar classes that I had the year before. So honestly, yeah, that means I get to reuse all of my stuff, all the stuff that I made, all the stuff that I had prepared. I can use it again because the classes are all the same. Of course, changing it slightly here and there, but the majority of the work is done because I had done it the year prior. And so the new year comes around, and it is it's an utter shit show. Okay, so at the beginning of the year, it's always gonna be trash, always gonna be awful, and then it settles itself in, and it was fine. And then the person who had hired me, she doesn't have the best rep, and in my first month vlog video, whatever you want to call it, I didn't want to bash her because I really wanted to understand her. I didn't want to speak ill of her. I didn't want to say anything bad because I can't judge her based on a very stressful point of the year. It's not fair. And so, and like, I heard a lot of things, but I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. I didn't want other people's opinions to affect mine. And so for the most part, she was okay. She wasn't very supportive in the elementary aspect because she herself was an AM teacher, and she was also, was the head teacher, and she had stepped down. Anyways, that's a lot of details if someone knows who I'm talking about. Anyways, and so this year she decided to step up and be the head elementary teacher. She didn't want to do AM no more, and that's, A-okay, girl, do your thing. But if you cannot be responsible for your job title, girl, step down. If you can't support your staff, step down. If you can't if you can't delegate your priorities, if you can't manage your own time, step down. And I'm not saying you as I'm at you. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do, even though it kind of is. But I'm saying that as a general. If somebody's going to be in the position of a leader, like a head teacher, a manager, a supervisor, but fuck whatever under this umbrella, make sure you can fucking do it. And if you can't, own up to it. There's nothing wrong with trying and failing. Clearly. I went back home, okay? Like, own up to your mistakes. That's all I can say. And that, honestly, yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about that later, because that's the reason why this kind of all exploded. So, it's the beginning of the year, shit kind of goes to shit, but whatever, we get into it, and I need to work hand in hand with this person, because we're teaching the exact same classes but at different levels. She had the lower classes, I had the higher classes, and again, the classes are the same, and so the curriculum is all the same. My throat is dry. Oh god, that's sweet. Okay, anyways, so that means we have to communicate a lot, like a lot. And prior to me choosing these classes, again, I was given the chance to choose what classes I want. And it was either this set of classes with this teacher that you're working with partner-wise, and then this class of teachers with this partner you're going to work towards, or work closely with. And no offense, full offense, both partners were pieces of shit. So I had to choose which one do I want to hate on less. Which one is going to cause me less stress? Which one do I want to, like, not rope myself less? That's not funny, but it's like, wow, okay, anyways. And so I chose her, the head elementary teacher, because I felt she knew the programs, she knew elementary like the back of her hand. She has worked with this company for years and years and years and years. Ideally, it makes more sense to work with her. And so I did. And, you know, she is someone that has zero respect for others if she is not happy. If she's not on track with her own shit, nobody can bother her. Nobody can be better or, like, have their shit done. So her being head teacher means she needs to check all of our work, all of our lesson plans, all of our homework booklets, anything that gets sent home to the parents to see, she needs to check those, okay? So me being me, I always get my shit done on time, if not early. There have only been a handful of times where I've been late, and that's only because I had so much other shit to do. And that's not me trying to toot my own horn or anything, but that's just who I am. I don't like to get shit done late. I don't like to have things being turned in late. Because if I turn them in late, I get them back in late, and then I'm stressed out. What if she has a problem with my lesson plan, and she tells me later because I sent it in later that I don't have time to prep, right? So I do my due diligence, get my shit done early, so then I can submit it early and get it back early. That is the dream, isn't it? So, because again, we are doing the same classes, and I have to submit my lesson plans to her, and she has horrific time management. That kind of just equals to one thing. Yes, you guessed it. Ding, ding, ding. She copied my lesson plans. She copied every single activity that I planned. She, even to the point, because I saw it on her desk, she just changed her name and her teaching partner's name, but it was my lesson plan. And I'm not trying to say, oh, bitch, you can't copy my lesson plan. It's nothing to do with that. Go ahead and do it. But at least let me know. Or, like, give me the credit that I deserve. I work really hard on the shit that I put in, whether that's a lesson plan or a homework booklet or a fucking, like, coloring sheet. I put effort into it, and to be taken from, like, have that effort be stripped from my work, that's not fair. That shit's not fair. And so, honestly, I just let it slide because I'm not that petty. Well, I wasn't that petty. And honestly, I have like a thing with like authority. I don't like to defy authority. Trauma. But I just let it happen because, you know, I understand that she's got so much on her plate. I don't want to be another reason to add to her plate. You know, like, I'm capable and I'm competent enough to do my own shit. I don't need her help for a lot of things. Whatever. Take it. Just take it. And then this is where I need to check my notes. Okay, yeah. So then throughout the beginning of the year, I noticed that this person has a major attitude. And like, I already fucking knew that, okay? I already knew this. And I accepted it, for the lack of a better word. What was I gonna do? What was I going to do about someone else's attitude? Like, again, I want to acknowledge that she's got a fuck ton of things to do. But that doesn't mean you're a disrespectful put. Like, bleh! You can't be disrespectful just because you are not happy with where you are. That's it. Especially, again, if you're in the position of a leader, check your own shit first before you drag other bitches into it. And so I noticed that she would speak to me in like a really rude way, and I did literally nothing to her. Like, I am a respectful person, but if you are disrespectful to me, why should I give you respect back? Why? You didn't earn it. You don't deserve it. Not to say that someone needs to earn my respect. It's a mutual thing. I'm going to respect you and be kind to you if you respect me and you're kind to me. But if you're not kind and you're not respectful, why in the hell would I treat you the same way? Or the way that you should be, that I would be treating you? Like, no. And so there's been countless times where she's just so rude to me. And I would literally be asking her a question like, oh, hey, do you have this book? Because with the program that we did, we also implemented another program on top of that, which required us to like do weekly books. But because obviously we can't have the books the same week, we'd use them alternately. We would use them on a rotation. And obviously, if it's my week, that means someone else had it the week before. And I would communicate with your team, hey, do you got this book? And it's always just so, it's like I have to mentally prepare myself to get yelled at to ask if she has a book when I know she's the one that used it prior. So let that sink in. You can't just simply ask the teacher that had this book that you needed the week before without having to like be worried that she's gonna like lose her shit on you. And you know, I've had books before where she needed, and I'd just be like, oh hey, yeah, they're in my classroom, or oh, it's in my desk, like I can get it to you in a second. Like, in my mind, I can't understand why such a simple request needs to be followed with so much like attitude and like rudeness. Like, even if you don't have the time right now, you don't have to respond in a certain way. So it was just ongoing and it just like got worse and worse. But then it was funny because like I sat against the wall, and so I literally wasn't looking at anybody. To talk to her, I had to turn around, and behind me was my friend, like my actual friend, who was facing the head teacher. So I would have to like turn around, look past my friend to talk to her, and for her to talk to me, she would need to look straight, passing my friend to look back at me. So obviously there's that friend in between. And I've noticed multiple times that she would speak to me in such a rude, disrespectful way, and then like seconds later talk to my friend in the most respectful, normal, like, hey buddy way. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. Why am I being spoken to like this way and she's being spoken to in a respectful way, like y'all are chingus or whatever? Like, yeah. Literally just like, So I didn't feel comfortable speaking to her directly because I have tried to speak to her in general directly about work, just regular ass work, and I would just constantly get attitude. It's always attitude. And so I'm like, you know what? No. I didn't do anything to deserve any of this treatment. I was never disrespectful to you. I don't understand why I'm being treated this way. And so if I continue to be spoken to this way, there's going to be a problem. And so I go to the AD, the academic director. And at the beginning of the year, we also had our problems last year. Everybody got fucking drama. This whole fucking shit is fucking drama. And you know, we've buried the hatchet and we talked about it and we're okay. And she tells me like she really wants to work on communication and making sure that everyone is happy because last year was a fucking shit show. And I was like, you know what? She said that she wanted me to be open communication, And so that's what I did. I went to go talk to her, and it wasn't me like losing my mind or like ranting. I was just saying that simply blah 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 person was, I've noticed, you know, treats me very differently. She's quite rude. She just speaks to me in a really disrespectful tone, and I don't like that. There was a person driving. It's kind of weird. Anyways, yeah, I don't like that. It's not fair. I didn't do anything to like trigger her. Like I don't deserve this. And so she's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And obviously there's like a little bit of like personal conversation around that as well. And very quickly I realized that I can't trust this person either. But she tells me, okay, yeah, like, well, I'll talk to her about it, blah, blah, blah. And so she talks to her about it. And now, the next day, she just blatantly ignores me now. And I'm like, cool. You can't ignore me because you're the head teacher. And therefore, my questions would be asked to you. Every question that I have about a book, about the curriculum, about the homework, about the supplementary readings, any questions that I have, because again, she also did some changes and we have to follow her changes. Any clarification, literally any type of communication would have to go through her. And she wouldn't talk to me. And when she would speak to me, it would be like the same shit, almost, if anything, worse. And I'm like, okay, that did not work. I'm just gonna shut the fuck up, sit my ass down, do my work, and live my life. Just, you know, go to work, go home. Fuck this shit. I'm done. I'm just okay. Why would I need to put myself in such an awkward position to talk to her, to talk to someone else, and then still get the same result and almost got it worse? And I'm like, you know what? I just have to accept the fact that I'm going to be spoken to like a piece of garbage, and that is that. So that's what I did. And then there was an incident where I'm also getting over a cold, excuse me. Where I needed something from her, and then she like, oh, it was an event. It was like God, I don't even remember what it was. Spelling bee or some sort of competition. And I really don't remember, but there was something, and then there was something to do with my kids, and so like something wasn't supposed to happen, and it was supposed to happen a certain way, and I needed to communicate with her, the head teacher, about this certain thing. But I didn't know that my teaching partner had already communicated to her. And so when I told my academic director about it, she's like, oh, make sure you tell this person. And I'm like, okay. And so I tell her, I'm like, hey, listen, blah, blah, blah happened, and this is what's going to happen now. She was like, I know. Your teacher already told me. I was like, First of all, back up. I didn't need the attitude. I don't care what kind of rush you're in. I don't care what kind of mood you're in. I didn't need that, especially in front of everybody in the office, in the middle of a freaking class switch. Nah, I didn't need that. I walked my ass away and I'm like, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. I taught my class, went home, slept, went back to work. Somewhere along the lines, I spoke to the AD again about how nothing's changed. It's disrespectful. You know, it's just rude. I don't deserve to be spoken to this way, and it's fucking rude. And then this last conversation resulted in I know what happened. Okay, so again, we teach the same classes. So she has the lower class, I have the higher class. One of her lower students was going to move into my higher class, and I was like, okay, cool, but this is in the middle of assessment week, which means my kids will be doing assessments and their final project for the unit. We are not doing the same project. We are not even doing the same book at the time. I think because they were lower, they had moved on to like a different lower unit book. And so she has no idea what to do for my class because she's joining in the middle of assessment week. And so I needed to know what she should do while my kids are in the middle of doing their assessments. And so I asked her, I'm like, hey, I have a question. And she ignores me. So I walk towards where my friend is. So it's facing her. I'm just like on the other side of the table, but she can very clearly see me. And this is not like a biased perspective. This is literally what happened. There were people in the office that could back me up on this. You know, I have people who saw what happened. So I tell him like, hey, like, you know, your student is coming. She ignores me. And I'm like, hello. And she looks at me, takes her earbud off, puts her earbud back in, and continues to work. And I'm like, hell the fuck no. Hell the fuck no. Are you kidding? So I, all pissed off and shit, stared at my friend, who stared at me, stared at the other two Korean teachers, who also then just stared at me, went, what the fuck? And I went, okay, you want to play this game? We can play this fucking game. Let's go. So I stomp my little ass out, and I go talk to the vice principal. And I'm like, I tried talking to AD. I tried talking to the bitch herself. I tried. So unless you're gonna fix this, or I can't teach here no more. This is not how it works. And so he gets involved. The AD gets brought back in because I can't technically talk to, or a Korean admin can't technically talk to a foreigner or foreign teacher without foreign teachers involved. We talk, and I'm like, this isn't even a personal thing. I'm not even talking to her for a personal reason. This is not even a thing about, like, this is about her student, which I know nothing about. I need to know where her reading levels are. I need to know where her writing levels are. I need to know about her comprehension. I need to know about everything. I need to know about everything. And she wouldn't speak to me. This is already setting up this freaking student coming into my class for failure. If you're not going to tell me how this student is, I'm not going to know jack shit when she walks into my classroom. And then, it started with the Korean vice principal telling me, so-and-so from so-and-so's class is going to go into my class. And I'm like, okay. And that's when I approached this person about wanting to know more information. Anyways, so then I'm like, this shit ain't right. This is not okay. I feel incredibly disrespected. Like, this is not even a benefit me. This is for me to know how this freaking kid's gonna do in my class. Because I have a very big bunch of smart ass kids. And if this person's gonna come in and not be able to do it, that's gonna be a problem for the kid, for the mom, for me, and for you. So we gotta figure something out, because I know nothing about this kid. And then conversation ends. I slip my ass back into the office, do my work, and that is that. And then it's either like the next day or the couple days later, she blatantly just no more conversation. Just no more conversation. And this is where I need to check my phone again. Please hold. Oh my God.